Greetings, Earthlings.
Yes. Okay.
One of my favorites from
good
Vivid.
start. Can you cut to my camera, please? Spin that wheel.
Collect. Oh,
Yo.
Let's try that again.
Welcome back to the Collector's Showcase, where we talk about all things collectibles, specifically the trading card market.
Yes.
And today we have an amazing show, a controversial show.
Right.
Some might argue the most controversial show ever. That's right. We are pulling out all the stops to produce probably the most controversial show we've ever done in our life.
Whoa.
It's pretty wild.
Whoa.
That's right, Gregory. And all of that controversy is going to be in the world of Pokemon. Now, if you grew up in the 90s, you probably heard of Pokemon. You probably started collecting it or watching it, whatever the case may be, because between the anime, between the video games, between the trading card market, it was Pokemon, and it took the world by storm. It was like wildfire. It's like Pokemon came out and hit the U.S. market, and it just boom, and it just grew very, very quickly. And before you know it, everyone was talking Pokemon. And anything like that, especially when it grows so quickly, is there's always going to be a shred of controversy somewhere. And as far as business and marketing is concerned, is if there's just enough controversy, you can turn that into even greater success. And that's really what Pokemon did here. And they took some questionable things and they turned it to their advantage to really grow into one of the greatest brands globally, honestly, that we have ever seen.
Right.
And so that's where we're at. And, you know, and that's why, like, if you can just mix some of that, you mix in some of the religious controversy, the parental controversy, the personal controversy, you know, even like culturally and geographically, like countrywide controversy, you manage it just right, you might got something here. But they had some crazy things, and that's why this is going to be the most controversial show we've ever had. And some of the things that we're going to be bringing on the show to talk about and even showing you guys, we're talking about things that have been banned.
Yes.
So which is crazy. Let's take you guys though back, if you don't mind. Let's take you guys back to the 90s. It's a little bit past my time. This is why, like, I did not get into
grown with children at that time, right?
Funny. This is why I didn't get into Pokemon early. You know, I was already like in college when Pokemon came out. But you were the perfect age for Pokemon. Now, do you remember Pokemon at all?
Of course. That was my life back then.
Okay. Now, what got you into Pokemon? Was it the cards? Was it the video games, the anime? Like, what are we talking about here?
I will take C, all of the above, or D, all of the above, Bobby.
Bobby Light?
It was everything. It was the show. It was like a well-oiled machine. You had the show, which fed into the cards, which fed into the games, and then it all kept feeding into each other.
Okay.
So I was hooked on the show. I was hooked on the games.
Yeah.
I would sit. Anyone who remembers playing Game Boy back in the day, I had my Game Boy Color. We would drive at night in the back. You would be like with the light on. My dad be yelling at me, turn the light off. Because at that time, these kids nowadays don't know it, but the Game Boys didn't have lights back then. Unless you had the big, I eventually got that big machine you put on the Game Boy that shone a light on it.
The accessory?
Yeah, the accessory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hooked like a fish, like a Magikarp.
Like a Magikarp.
I used to cut out the back of macaroni and cheese boxes because it had the characters. You had cutouts on it.
No way.
Yep.
That's wild. See, this is what I mean. Like, so your experience really is a great sort of representation of what happened. Pokemon came out and they did it right, and it just grew like wildfire. But I also, this is, even though I was older, this is one thing I do remember about Pokemon. I do remember the controversy. I remember there were certain parents that were like, no, my kids are not allowed to watch it.
Right.
My kids are not allowed to play the game, and my kids are not allowed to have the trading cards. Was that your experience? You know of anyone that you remember this?
I know of some people that was their experience. For me, it was not. But I had heard when I got older. When I was younger, I didn't hear any of this. But when I got older, I had heard of some of the controversy around it. So.
All right. I'm curious, like you guys that are watching, whether it be live right now. If you're live, by the way, really appreciate you guys. It means the world to us. It really helps us out here. But if you're live or on the replay, let us know. Like, do you remember Pokemon when it first came out? Were you sort of at the ripe age where like you just got into it right away? Do you remember the controversy? What were some of the controversies? Like, did you have a friend whose parents were like, nope?
Right. Well, because in Japanese, it's actually called Pocket Monsters. So that I heard was a controversial thing.
Sure.
Monsters, ghosts, all these things.
Of course. Yeah, I'm actually curious to sort of read through the comments here if what everyone's experience was. But I do remember that there was some controversy, and as far as from the parent end, it was like some of the characters, what the characters represented, what they did. And now looking back on it, I think it was just because it was unfamiliar. Right. And anything that's unfamiliar, first, there's always going to be people that just resist it.
Way difference in culture, too.
You gosh, yeah.
Culture, you're always like...
Absolutely. And then there was the religious controversy because some of these characters, again, they were questionable, and it definitely conflicted with some of, religious sort of doctrine, whatever. So, so now you mix that with the parent thing. So parents never seen this before. Religiously, maybe there are some religious institutions taking a position on it. So there was some controversy, but all that does for a kid is make them what? Want it more. And I think that's what fed, or one of the things that fed into Pokemon really becoming one of...
Right, because then it's edgy and everyone wants
edgy.
Absolutely.
And it resulted in Pokemon being one of the biggest brands in the world.
Right.
It really is. You go to any part of the world and they're going to know Pokemon like other big brands. So they did a great job. And to think that it's only been in the U.S. market since 1999?
Around there, maybe a little earlier.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I know Pokemon started earlier in Japan, but in the U.S. markets, I mean, I think
the show might have started in 97.
I'm sorry. The trading cards were 1999. The show was a little bit, earlier than that. But it's just wild. We got some people commenting now. Says, I wasn't allowed to play Pokemon until I was 11. Say what I mean? So, like, it was just shrouded in controversy. And now it wasn't even just the fact that parents and religious institutions were hesitant because maybe they didn't know, they weren't familiar with it, they had to figure it out. But Pokemon, either intentional or otherwise or accidental, released some even cards, and then even prior to the cards, released some episodes that were like no.
Yeah, no.
Like
in America, at least.
Especially now.
Right.
If a show like some of the episodes that had aired back in the 90s aired today, we're talking about a possibility of Pokemon not surviving.
Right.
The way that they were able to turn something like that into a success. I don't know if they would have had the same result. This is how controversial it was, and it was definitely not PC. It was not politically correct of what they were releasing back then. Now, you could argue maybe the Japanese market and culture didn't understand the American culture.
Yeah, and I would assume that in the beginning, I mean, maybe they were always targeting the American culture, but it was really a big thing in Japan at first. It really didn't take off here. So then you figure once it starts becoming... That's why you don't really... In modern day, you don't see many banned Japanese cards because I think they didn't... Maybe culturally, some of the stuff that they were putting out for their culture was... not a problem at all. But
absolutely.
Then they didn't realize maybe it was going to get so big in America and in other parts of the world.
Yes.
And then when you start releasing now on a global market, now you got to be cautious and sympathetic and sensitive to sort of things that have happened in other countries.
Yeah.
So you have to be now very careful about what you're releasing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why in the beginning there was a lot of banned cards. Now there's not as much because now they're thinking globally.
Yeah, and there are still banned cards, but nowadays the banned cards has more to do with the fact that it provides a gross advantage in the game.
In the gameplay. There's a difference between, we're not talking about cards that in the gameplay, maybe the English translation accidentally. There's a couple of cards where, like the Slow King in one of the Neo series, they accidentally translated it wrong. So the card actually is different in Japanese, but in the English gameplay, you now have like a gross advantage, like you said.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about those types of cards. We're talking about the imagery on the cards that, at least in the U.S., were deemed very controversial. And no-nos.
they were big no-nos there. And I just want to cut to a camera really quickly. And here are 3 cards that we're going to be talking about today.
Wow.
And they're flipped on purpose because we can't give it too much airtime. We don't want to get banned.
And just to show you, look, in Japan, it's called Pocket Monsters. It's not even called Pokemon.
Right. So we're going to be talking about these 3 cards right here to really illustrate the point of what was going on with Pokemon back then.
Yes.
And so we've got some detailed information. And Craig, I sort of want you to kick things off with this card.
So we're going with the most controversial one first.
We're gonna yes.
Let's do it. Let's get it out of the way.
I want to get this one out of the way. And they're all controversial, and in light of sort of today. It's, today's society, today's, human psyche, how we handle things, and, historically what's been going on and whatnot. This one is probably going to hit all of the feels for a lot of people. But it is part of the story of Pokemon Trading Cards. They righted it. And we're going to talk about this, but this is definitely the most controversial card. It has since been banned, this card, and we have it here. And let's see if I can pull this up. And I want to put a little disclaimer first, if that's okay, is that we are simply talking about something that already happened because we feel that education is important. And we need the more that we can learn, the better we can be.
Right.
So that's what we're doing here. We're simply, taking things that have already happened, pieces that have already been manufactured, and we're going to use it as a talking point so that we can sort of help things progress. And just like Pokemon did, they definitely righted a lot of this stuff.
And you also understand now, if you ever see these cards on the market, all right, what is this?
Well, exactly.
Should I buy it?
Right. Right. Here's the thing. If that's actually another really good point, and I'm glad you're bringing that up, is if you don't know, you can make either a mistake yourself, or you can also see something and not understand it and maybe get emotional about it. But if you were armed with the information, maybe you'd be able to handle that situation a little bit better. So that's what we're doing here. That's the goal of this show, is we want to educate so that you guys can make informed decisions, not just because you want to avoid controversy, but you want to make really good decisions for your collections. You want to make really good decisions for your investments and all of the above, right? And so that's my little disclaimer here, but I'm going to let Craig take it away. And the very first card that we are going to be talking about, one of the most, this is literally considered one of the top most controversial cards.
This is also considered
that Pokemon made.
This is also considered one of the most controversial Pokemon, though. Aside from that,
yes, good point.
So to start things off, it is. I mean, I guess I can start off by who this Pokemon is.
Yes.
This Pokemon, we're not gonna reveal the card yet, but I'll tell you the Pokemon. Her name is Jinx. She has been a controversial Pokemon actually since the beginning, not just in the gameplay or the cards, but in the anime as well. There are a couple episodes that she was featured in early on that are actually banned because of her early art, her early depiction. And this is actually one of 2 of the Jinx cards that were banned and had to be redesigned before they were released in the US. There is, I believe it's the base set 1 Jinx, and then we have the Gym Challenge, which in Japan was Challenge from the Darkness, Sabrina's Jinx. So we will, Rob, if you want to turn that around, you have steadier hands.
Sure. So this is the
That's
right
the card
here.
right
This
there.
is the banned card.
Yes.
Right here, and we also have, obviously we have it in studio as well that we're going to show you guys here. You want to do the honors? You could flip it.
I have shaky hands, so I don't know.
No, go ahead. You're welcome. Hold on. Oh no, leave it there for a second. This way people can actually see it. And what I'll do is I'll remove this.
Remove the watermarks.
And this is one of the most controversial cards that Pokemon produced. And like Craig was saying, this is the Japanese card.
Yes.
This was made in 1999,
In
right?
Japan, it was released in 2000.
Right.
In the
So
US.
this is not the card that was released
No.
for the U.S. market. This was the Japanese card,
Right.
and this has since been banned.
Yes.
And what I sort of also want to sort of outline is the widespread criticism for being this sort of caricature. I'll call it.
Yes.
Was really came on the heels of a writer. It was an author of a publication who called Pokemon out, Carol Boston Weatherford, and it was first in the animated title.
Right.
Holly, I think it was like Holiday High Jinx.
Yes, that's a banned Pokemon episode.
And it's also
That's
a banned
Pokemon
right.
episode.
And the title of her article was Politically Incorrect Pokemon.
Right.
And some would actually argue that her article is really what started, everyone going down the rabbit hole of controversy. What else has Pokemon done? What else should we ban?
Right.
They're saying that her article is really what kickstarted
Right.
and brought it to everyone's attention.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is the card right there. Again, that's the banned card. And then why don't we talk about now how they ban it right? Like, what did
Right, okay,
Pokemon
so
do?
This is what it was accused of. This Pokemon and this card was accused of. If you notice, maybe we can cut to a tight shot of this card here,
Yeah.
and then we can get her out of the way. It was accused of this Pokemon having blackface, and it was also accused of there was in the early 1900s. There were some racist caricature cartoons, very insensitive, stereotypical cartoons.
Yeah, it was
that
through
were
the
made.
whole vaudevillian.
Yes, that were made.
Theatrics.
That,
Yep.
Negatively depicted African Americans.
Yep.
And this was perceived as that. So when they fixed it for the U.S. release, they actually turned her skin color to a purple. They brightened her up purple. And since then, they've also changed her in the show and the games. So she now has purple skin.
Right. So again, that is what the banned card looks like, and now this is how they fixed it in preparation for the U.S. market.
Yes.
Is they changed her complexion, and since then it stayed. Now
she's
Jinx
purple,
is
she's
always
everywhere
purple.
you
It's
see her,
never
yes.
gone back. They have fixed it moving forward.
This is the same now. They also did this for the base set Jinx as well. That
Yeah.
was also banned.
Yeah.
Her skin was lightened, and in the show and in the games.
Yeah. Now the illustrator, when questioned, because obviously there's more than just the executives. There's the illustrators. They like every other card, and we'll talk about that in a second. They deny any wrongdoing, and I got to be honest. I don't think it was intentional.
I can't speak to Japanese culture. I
can't.
I don't know Japanese culture very well.
Right.
So I'm gonna say that I don't think this was done maliciously.
I don't think
it
so
was
either.
just a bad translation.
Yeah, I agree. But they were called down on it. Someone else identified the issue. They called them out publicly, and they fixed it in advance of the U.S. Market distribution, right? So, and
I think she looks better purple anyway, to be honest.
I agree. She looks better purple. Another thing that they changed here, no one knows why, is as one of the sort of side effects of the card itself. Now I'm talking about the trading card game. The game itself is in the Japanese card. You could poison. In the English card, you can make them fall asleep. So it's sort of a less dramatic way of saying it. Who knows why? If it's related to the controversy, I don't know.
Sometimes they just didn't translate the gameplay even correctly.
Oh, that's true.
They sometimes messed up like the damage that a Pokemon caused when they were translating.
Yep.
It could have just been an accident. I'm not sure.
Now the next card that we're going to be talking, I'm just going to pull it up here. Is sort of directly related to this card right here, and so the next card. Let me pull these off. The next card that we're going to be discussing, again, this is a card shrouded in controversy, comes from the same set, which is amazing that you have a set that has so many controversial cards.
And this card, I think, is actually the least controversial. Personally,
Yes.
I think this is a card that we're about to show that did not need to be changed at all.
Yeah, I mean, we have one card that as you sort of mention, and you make a really great point, over time things change culturally. We become a little bit more sensitive to things, and so one card as it matured got even worse. Right. And then we're talking about another card as time matured. It's the reverse effect.
Right.
You know, and that card right here is Sabrina's Gaze. Sabrina's Gaze. I'll show you. This is what the banned card looks like. Now, can you point out? Do you have any idea why that would be banned at all?
Well, it appears that one of her fingers, toward the middle section of her hand, looks like it is sticking up, specifically at the viewer.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so here. And now we have the card. So I guess
I'll flipping the bird.
Flipping the bird. Yeah. So we have the card here, and I'll do the flip for this one. If you want to, here we'll cut. Oh, there we go. And the dramatic reveal, boom, is right here. This is. And my hand keeps on hitting that other one. There you go. That's the card right there.
Yes, this is Sabrina's Gaze.
Sabrina's Gaze. Now, like many of the entries on today's list, and really on the list of banned cards, both versions of the trading card Sabrina's Gaze were actually done by illustrator Ken Sugimori, which is the lead character designer and art director for Pokemon franchise. In addition to his work on like every single Pokemon game, and also the movies as well. This guy contributed a great deal of the artwork. So he's like the primary art designer, illustrator, and being the director, he oversees pretty much all of the other artworks as well. So he's the guy responsible for this one right here. And his original design, as you know, Craig, as you're pointing out, you look at it, you're like, I don't even know that the middle finger's up.
No,
it's not even definitive.
Because in the game or in the anime, you actually, the Pokeball is smaller as at first. So the trainer holds the Pokeball.
Yep.
That middle button that she's actually pressing.
Yeah.
You press that to expand the Pokeball, and then you throw it to release the Pokemon. So that it looks like what she is doing there. It doesn't look like she's doing anything bad. If you watch the show, you would be like, oh, she's just opening the Pokeball.
Yeah, I agree. In preparation for the show, like I was actually putting my hand in the position and putting it to camera at different angles. And based on a vantage point, I guess it can give it an illusion that one finger might be up, but like I didn't change it, and you can definitely tell that. I think it was just an artist's vantage point of where he was drawing from,
but again,
why that happened.
If that's not your culture and you're not thinking, we all know, oh, that looks like a middle finger. But if that's not your culture, you're not really thinking about that. I don't think that was done maliciously either.
I totally agree. But even so, again, because of the controversy with the other card, this is why I think this one received so much attention as well, is that the other card they
were both in the same set.
And they're both in the same set. So what happens is, once that one card was scrutinized, identified publicly, and dragged through the mud, I think then publicly everyone's going to really look at the details of every single card, which is why I think this card probably got so much attention. And I think normally if it was by itself without the controversy of the card, it might not have been flagged.
This is also the 90s though, so you gotta, people were a little more like
even so
outraged by things like that back then.
Yeah, even so, Pokemon went out of their way, they fixed it, and the illustrator, instead of just fixing it like we saw with the other card, they just changed the complexion. He literally changed. He made a completely different card.
This is similar to Misty's Tears, where instead of just altering a couple things on the card, they completely changed the design.
Right. So like in the banned one, she's holding the Pokeball, and in now the fixed one, this was the card made for the U.S. market. Now she's throwing it. So it's literally a completely different illustration. It's not even fixed, not even altered. It's just changed completely. Right. It's a different card. That's probably, it's pretty significant too, and you would think that maybe the illustrator took offense himself to, it being flagged the way it was. Maybe he liked the card. I don't know. I'm making stuff up at this point, but
I just want to redesign it anyway. So.
Or it could have been that, or it could have been like, I'll take this.
Cool,
maybe he had two designs already.
Yeah, I would assume that these guys who made these designs had multiple designs of characters lined up.
I actually think both illustrations, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really do.
And now I remember this one very much growing up. Oh, sorry, I'm pointing at the screen. I remember the American version of this card very much growing up. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you notice I actually should have brought it because I have the American version of these, obviously, because we have the first set. I forgot to bring it in. But yeah, in this case, very, very cool. Both cards anyway. And this is, again, I'm repeating myself, an example of the reversal of controversy where in the beginning it was so controversial. And today, this would not be as controversial as versus the other card where there was controversy, bad. It's gotten worse though.
Yes.
You know, and I don't think people would be as sensitive to this card as the other one.
We got them changed.
But so we've got them.
All is good.
All is good. Now for the last card that we're going to be talking about, as far as cards that are banned, shrouded in controversy, the last one is this one right here.
Grimer.
Now
we're missing an R.
Oh, we're missing an R. There's a misspelling.
Grimer.
Let's just fix that immediately because I don't want people to get confused there. Look at that.
Grimer.
We could do things on the fly here.
Now we know it as Team Rocket. In
Yes.
Japan, it was known this set as Rocket Gang.
Rocket Gang. Now I'm just gonna. Yeah, the camera's already on you. So talked a little bit about Team Rocket. Who's on Team Rocket here? Who is Grimer? You know, like
who's on Team Rocket? Have you ever heard of Jesse James to protect the world from devastation?
I have.
And their little pal Meowth. And Grimer is well. Let's flip him around. Maybe can we get this?
Yeah. Hold on. Let's change the cameras here.
Grimer
we have to do this right.
Grimer is the first stage before evolving into Muck, which Ash actually had a Muck in. Well, he probably still has them in the show. They smell. They're gross. They're Grimer. There he is.
Now, a quick correction is I sort of misspoke with the other card. It's this card that the Japanese version, it's Poison, and the English version is Falling Asleep.
Not the Jinx. Okay.
It's not the Jinx. It's this one. So that's my bad, but that's the correction there. And this one had the most subtle of fixes, of corrections. You know, so if this is the banned card, as now you're seeing with the graphic and also on our table here, what you're going to see is the fixed version is, if you're not like really looking at the card, you're not going to know that you're not going to really notice, right?
Yes.
And that's because the only change outside of what I just said with Poison versus Asleep and the abilities is the eyes.
Yes.
In the banned version, which is the one right there, the eyes appear to be looking at an inappropriate spot on the person walking by.
Yes.
In the English version, they changed it where the eyes are now just clearly looking forward, not even in close into the direction of the person that's walking by. Again, Illustrator denies any malicious wrongdoing, doing it intentionally. Who really knows? Probably not, though.
I don't know them. I'll give them a benefit of the doubt.
So will I. I'll give them the benefit.
Disney was doing some crazy things in the 90s in their animations.
Yeah,
so who knows?
It's true. This could have been one of those subtle things. It's a dot, people.
Yeah, who knows?
Like you take the pen or the paintbrush. I don't know what they use here to make this, and a dot. So yes. But again, this is another one of those. And again, it didn't fly then. This is another card that, if released today, it would not fly today as well. And so I think it's good that they made those changes for the American market. And and so there you have it. These are three of the cards that we wanted to sort of highlight to talk about the fact that as fun as Pokemon is, and Pokemon's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a tremendous amount of fun. Is, as you can see here, Pokemon has not been without controversy.
Yes.
And in some cases, some pretty extreme controversy, like some of the cards that we've outlined here today. Some of it's silly, like we've talked about, but some of it is very, very serious. Right. And you know what? It's nice looking back. You know, maybe someone might argue that, you know, it took someone calling them out and writing a piece, a column for them to make the changes. But you know what? I would argue that regardless, changes were made.
Right.
And they went back, they redesigned, and they reprinted for the American market. And And so that's good. But I also want to, and I know we highlighted this earlier, but the controversy is not just about questionable design choices. Some of the controversy are people who are purist to the game, who are very serious with the game, and some cards that Pokemon released just gave an unfair advantage.
Right.
If you got the card, it would automatically pretty much just annihilate your opponent. So being that there was such a significant unfair advantage, that is a ban cards from the players. Remember earlier I was saying there's controversy, parents, religious, personal as well. And this is a personal thing where it's an unfair card, and the players of Pokemon put pressure, and it got banned. And
there was there's a Sneasel.
Yep.
I heard from Neo.
There's a
Slow
few
King that are coming to mind.
Yeah.
There's some more.
Yeah. There's definitely a few of them. And doing a little Google search, you get the list. There's about, I think it's about 15 Japanese cards that have been banned. I think as of right now, as the time we're recording this, I think there's 23 English cards that have been banned as well for various reasons.
That's more so gameplay though, right? Because I would think that when they were translated, they were the designs
more so
were
gameplay,
fixed.
but also some illustrative stuff. And you don't even have to go that far back to see a banned card. There is some reasons. Hidden Fates has a banned card, by the way.
I heard that was there a Magmortar card that was banned?
I think. I don't want to commit. I don't know the list offhand, but it's interesting, and it's sort of worth taking a look at just to educate yourself on this stuff, because I think I love history, I love information, so I think the knowledge is really important here.
Do a part 2. Banned.
We
part
might
2.
have to do a part 2. There's definitely enough material there.
Yes.
But for me, this is a really fun topic. Because it allows us to go a little bit more into the history of Pokemon, the early days. Allows us now to talk about company-wide stuff, illustrators, and what may have been a stepping stone to where they are today. So for me, this was a really interesting topic. I know it's highly controversial. There's lots of sensory things. Like there's some cards I chose not to feature in the show, and maybe we can work up the courage to do a part 2, and maybe we'll bust them out. But there's one card in particular, as controversial.
I referenced it before.
Yeah, as controversial as this card is, there's one card that's even more controversial than this. And maybe we'll do a part 2 where we break that card out and we talk about it. That's a pretty bad card. Gotta be honest, that's a pretty bad card there. But anyway, there you have it, guys. Banned and uncensored, the most controversial Pokemon cards that have been produced since Pokemon has been making these cards, and also not just the cards, but also their shows. I mean, there's an episode, for example.
There's a few episodes. The Jinx episode was banned.
Yep.
There are a couple other episodes that were also banned. That's just, I guess, what happens when you're now operating globally. You have to think of every single market and how they are affected. I guess we do it with our American movie releases.
That's true.
We sometimes tailor make things for certain markets.
Yeah.
That movies are big in. So it's just, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're working globally.
It's true, and I sort of want to add that just because a company or a brand or an individual goes through a period of controversy, it doesn't mean that it should be eliminated.
Right.
I think that in Pokemon's case, let's just think about this. I mean, there's so many people that really have enjoyed Pokemon over the past 25 plus years. If 1999 was the end of Pokemon, we eliminate all the great stuff that they have been able to give to families and kids and all that stuff, right? So giving them the opportunity to write it, I think is important. So the controversy doesn't mean that it's, that's the last time they're ever going to do it.
Right.
And in the case of that one author who wrote a piece calling them out, and it was that one thing that sort of led to all of the great stuff, because it helped Pokemon write that stuff. So I think in hindsight, I think that Pokemon have done a lot of great things.
Agreed.
And I think they've made some mistakes. We will never know if they were intentional or not.
Right.
And you said it before, I don't know that it was malicious. And I'm going to just sort of take the position of maybe it wasn't.
Right.
Maybe it was a genuine, just an oversight, not understanding our culture. It's different there. Maybe like in this case, one of the cards, because they weren't, privy to a certain culture 100 years ago, and they weren't.
Right.
You know, they weren't vaudeville, for example, wasn't accessible to the Japanese
Japan,
culture,
right.
you know, so they weren't even aware of this stuff,
Right.
you know. So, but anyway, I think it's interesting to see that even a Pokemon, and we look at it now as in part like a sort of like a children's sort of series or children's card game or children's video game. It's sort of really funny and interesting to look back and to say, wow, even a company like that has gone through some interesting periods of controversy and produced material like that we've featured in today's show, you know. And I think we're gonna have to do a part 2.
We might have
because there's some big controversy still out there that we're gonna have to educate everyone on.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the Collector's Showcase, where we talk about all things collectibles, and we let you know what you should buy, what you should sell, what you should stay away from, and we love educating you guys along the way. We got a lot of different segments here, not just this. This show is every single Monday. Hopefully you guys will join us next week as well. Smash that subscribe button, hit that like as well. Let all your friends know. Join us next week as we dive deeper into the collectible world, and we're going to be talking about some amazing things. I think education is important because it allows you guys to make an even better decision for your collections and for your investments. And don't forget to check out our other shows, because Saturday mornings we got something as well.
Yes, we have a wonderful new hiree. Our new hiree who does our Saturday morning card news, which is a breakdown of all the news in the collecting world that week. We have 2 episodes up so far, and I think he's getting along smashingly.
Smashingly, huh?
Yeah, he's very handsome. He's very talented. I mean, this is a good find.
Well, I listen. I think you're partial, and for good reason. So anyway, I'm excited about that show as well. I'm excited about that show. That's every Saturday morning.
Yes.
And as always, in addition to YouTube, we're on a lot of other places: Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and of course Twitch. We have our live breaks every single week. It's at the very least every single Wednesday.
Yes.
So if you would like to even participate in some of our live breaks as well, you can. We're fully stocked on tcscards.com, guys.
Okay, I was waiting for you. You took a long break in between the com. So.
All right, we'll try that again. You can head on over to tcscards.com.
Nice.
Until next time, guys, I am Rob Taramina. This is my amazing co-host,
Craig. 2024.
No, I don't think he is. Well, I think, wow, it's amazing No.
What are we trying to do here?
Oh, well, I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Okay, which is...
My amazing co-host is
nice.
Baby Yoda, and before we go, we're going to announce last week's winner. Last week, we did some 2021 Topps baseball.
Wow.
And the winner of this right here, the Bryce Harper. This is a great little card right here. Of the Bryce Harper scratch off card, you can win lots of fun things. Is none other than our friend of the show, Nick Huffman. Congratulations,
nice.
Nick Huffman. Hopefully you and your son, because I know your son also likes the show as well, enjoys the card. And congratulations again, Nick, on winning. We're going to be hopefully announcing giveaways and giving things away all year long. And that's only going to be done here on the YouTube show on Mondays. So pretty exciting stuff. And our next giveaway is going to be milestone based. And once we hit 100 subscribers, we've got a really big prize that we're going to be giving away. We're going to be giving away one of these band cards right here. So, which is pretty cool. And so if you want an opportunity to win one of these band cards, help us out. Get all your friends and family and neighbors. Even if your dog has a YouTube channel.
Mine do.
Right. Then subscribe to the Collector's Showcase. So congratulations, Nick Huffman, on winning right here, the Bryce Harper card, buddy. You deserve it. I appreciate you always checking out the show. You and your son. You're amazing. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys as well for checking out the Collector's Showcase. Yay. The Collector's Showcase. Where should they follow us?
Where do I begin? Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, We got a Discord.
Yeah.
We got a store, which
Yeah.
is www.tcscards.com.
Until next week, guys. See you later. Peace out. Have a good one. Be safe. And collect.
Oh, I thought we were done.
And collect lots of stuff. Have fun.
Goodbye.